Hello and welcome to all. A house built upside down, a whole village made of plastic bottles, or a totally invisible hut. Here are the 10 most unusual and wacky houses you will ever see. Let's get started. With the recent heat wave, there's nothing more refreshing than opening an ice-cold soda and sipping it. Once you've quenched your thirst with that delicious bubbly nectar, what are you going to do with the empty container? Are you going to throw that plastic bottle in the recycling bin, even though the dumpster is only a few strips away? Have you ever wondered how many plastic bottles are thrown away every day? Probably millions, even billions, most of which end up in the ocean, polluting our beautiful little blue planet. Faced with this frightening prospect, you finally decide to do your part by throwing the bottle in the bin dedicated to plastic. You leave with the feeling of having done your duty? But a question still lingers in your mind. Is it really enough? Well, the answer is no. Because with a huge amount of waste produced every day, we could build entire cities with only plastic bottles. Don't laugh, even if the idea seems highly absurd, because some people have taken it very seriously, so much so that they have decided to apply it. Now contemplate the fabulous village made almost exclusively from plastic bottles. Located in Panama, this mythical place is home to several large structures, such as a castle and a dungeon, whose incredibly peculiarity lies in the fact that they were built using millions and millions of PVC bottles. This unique village in the world is the work of architect Robert Bezos, who aimed to collect plastic bottles that pollute the oceans and reuse them in habitable constructions. The plastic houses and buildings are in fact completely in accordance with architectural standards and are therefore suitable for people to live in. It's hard to do better in terms of recycling, isn't it? Have you ever wondered what it would be like to live inside a tree? For sure, there is no better way to be closer to nature. We agree, but we reassure you from the start because we're not talking about a vulgar hut in the branches, but a palace of all beauty and with all the modern comfort. Because the architectural masterpiece that you're going to see now is completely worthy of the House of the Elves of Lothlorien in splendor and magnificence. The amazing building that you see on your screens is called the World Spiral. This building is in fact a building built on 12 floors with several layers of multicolored recycling concrete that are superimposed in perfect harmony. But the most amazing feature of this incredible building is that it is literally planted with trees, from the ground floor to the roof. These are majestic lime and maple trees that are erected around and inside this curious building, giving its residents the impression of being in the middle of the forest. And to further enhance this illusion, the building even has a small artificial river on the terrace, as well as a playground and picnic area. For most of us, a photo is a memory that will last forever, but for some, photography is a real passion, an art, even a way of life. Meet Ravi Hungal, a professional Indian photographer and family man who is devoted to cameras. This jovial-looking man is so passionate about photography that he has named his 3 sons after camera brands such as Canon, Nikon, and Epson. But the most amazing thing is his own house, which takes the shape of a giant camera, with all the details you can imagine. This incredible 3-story building has a huge lens right in the middle of its facade, as well as a big flash and a sun shield. A railing on one of its balconies has the shape of a film reel. And to make it even more real, a memory card slot and a camera shutter are also present. Whether scrambled, poached, or in omelettes, eggs are undoubtedly a hit with gourmet. But have you ever wondered how far your passion for eggs can lead you? British artist Stephen Turner, for example, has such a love for eggs that he decided to live in one. Here is his surprising house, the Exbury Egg, a small wooden structure of about 12 centimeters of surface and which takes the shape of a giant egg floating on water. This unusual construction is indeed installed on the waters of the Beaulieu River in Hampshire, where it sails with the waves. Made of cedar wood, it is completely waterproof and offers a very comfortable living space with almost all the usual amenities, including a toilet and a shower. Its owner will be able to live there almost normally, and to top it all, he will even be able to make an omelette thanks to its small kitchen fitted out in an egg. On this totally astonishing sequence, you will discover one of the most unusual and bizarre houses that you will ever see. Admire this house built on an authentic sea freight crane, and yet it is completely habitable. The interior of the house is more than charming, with a rather rustic and vegetal decoration of a breathtaking splendor. However, before becoming a beautiful house, this crane known as number 29 has seen many containers and cargo ships since its installation in the port of Bristol in 1950. Just imagine how many ships it has served to charter over the years and how many tons of cargo it has handled before it was transformed into this magnificent home of a new kind. Oh, Switzerland, this beautiful alpine country with its sumptuous landscapes with green valleys at the foot of the mountains and magnificent typical Swiss chalet. But on this sequence, you will be able to appreciate a much more unusual facet of Swiss architecture. Very far from the standards we all know, here is the Swiss mountain underground house, a small architectural marvel almost unique in the world, located in Val, a small mountain village in the canton of Grisons. This fabulous house differs greatly from the traditional Swiss mountain chalets. It is indeed an underground construction with a very unusual design, since it has an elliptical opening that was built into the very side of the mountain. This avant-garde architecture allows the house to be always exposed to daylight, and especially to have a wonderful view of the surrounding mountains. Nowadays, architects compete in ingenuity and know-how, always ready to take on new challenges and push back the frontiers of the impossible. But in this amazing footage, you'll see that even the craziest and most insane projects always find someone bold enough to make them happen on the ground. So, without further ado, let's introduce you to the invisible treehouse, an edifice that will be very difficult to contemplate, but that will leave you speechless once it has revealed its fabulous secret. Because even if you can't see it at first sight, this tree hides a real house with all the modern comforts you could dream of. Look closely at the contours and you will see a cubic-shaped building erected directly on the trunk of this large oak. Rest assured, this invisible hut is not surrounded by a witch's spell or any other such demonic abomination. For what gives this house its power of invisibility are the huge mirrors that are glued to its walls that reflect the environment around them, creating the subtle but incredible optical illusion. So you can pass within a meter of this hut without actually seeing it, which is surprisingly effective camouflage and certainly the best way to escape peddlers and other street vendors. Are you tired of always having the same view from the windows of your house? Well, why not change your decor and orient your home to your own desires? If you think that's a crazy idea, then you haven't heard of Bo Loda and his incredible rotating house. The brave 73-year-old builder from the Czech Republic has spent years of his life building his curious home, which looks like a cross between a hobbit house and a UFO. But underneath its bizarre appearance is an ingenious mechanism that allows the house to rotate on its own axis so that it can always follow the path of the sun in the sky and not lose a single crumb of those beneficial rays. The house also has a fully retractable roof that can be unfolded in just a few seconds at the touch of a switch. On this totally upside-down sequence, you're about to discover a very strange house, even almost stunning. This is the upside-down house, a completely crazy and unusual architectural work, but which is nevertheless the pride of its builder, the American architect Marek Surin. He had the idea to build a house built upside down when he saw some of them during a trip to Poland. Upon his return to the United States, Marek set about building his own house upside down, and the result is quite stunning indeed, because everything in this house was built backwards, including the interior design and furnishings, the beds, the dressers, the chairs, and even the shower and kitchen. Everything is upside down, as if suspended from the ceiling. Well, the place where the ceiling is supposed to be. A visit to this amazing upside-down house will leave you in total disbelief, as the immutable rules of logic are turned upside down. And to realize how strange and unusual the setting is, you'll just have to turn your camera upside down and you'll see a very normal house. Fans of country music and musical instruments will probably love this sequence, because the house you're about to discover was built to please them in the first place. This is the Guitar House, a 950 square meter dwelling located in Georgia, USA, which at first glance may seem rather ordinary, despite its slopping architecture and slightly too oblong shape for a house. But think again, my dear friends, because in order to appreciate the true architectural value of this curious house, you'll have to get up in the sky a little. Because if you take a little bit of height, you will realize that the house has the shape of an authentic acoustic guitar. This incredible building was built in 1986 by Elvis Cardin, a local country music celebrity who loved his guitar so much that he made it his own home. We couldn't do a video on the most unusual houses without telling you about this fabulous home of hers. Yes, you heard right, because the house you're going to see now is in fact an authentic plane. A Boeing 727, to be more precise. The aircraft that once flew in the Greek skies was saved from the scrap heap by a 66-year-old former electrical engineer named Bruce Campbell, who bought it from the airline. He then moved his plane to a forest in Portland, USA, and lavishly refurbished it to have all the comforts he could hope for. It must be said that he succeeded well, because it's already been 15 years since he settled in his airplane house and he is completely satisfied with it. Now, tell us in the comments what you think of these 11 houses with a completely crazy and unusual design that you certainly don't see on every street corner. Don't forget to subscribe and click here to watch another of our videos.